Right. So we've just come right at the tail end of this new war, or this war that just ended. Kaiser Wilhelm has been forced to retreat into the mountains as Phoenix and Arcanus push in deeper. Now that is some wonderful border gore for Quadra. Actually, it's not as bad once you get the wastelands covered up. But is that Genoa? All right, Genoa still prevails in the steppe. That's where you want to be. And let's see, the Dutch is grabbing India. Ooh, yes, and then the poor guy. Let's see, is that Japanese troops in India? I don't think so. We don't have a Japanese player. And Japan is not in a war, so I think there'd be other forces, yes. And then let's see. I heard France is just lovely to visit this time of year. Ooh, is that code for war? I mean, that's the question though, right? If you're Trier or you're the Netherlands, I guess Denmark doesn't really have a choice. Or if you're Venice, you're probably looking at this military buildup with some anxiety, potentially. Looks like Trier is trying to get to a war footing. I mean, they're drilling, so they're doing well. Netherlands is just all spent. Oh, so, yeah, the Netherlands is an ally, right? Ooh, so that's going to be interesting. All right, so that, if you're France, you know from being able to see into the future that the low country is pretty easy to walk through. And the Netherlands, they are militarily completely tied down in a war in Asia, a land war in Asia. And so if the Ottomans come a-knocking on France's door, France will not be able to look at the Netherlands potentially for support. I mean, the Netherlands, I think their main forces are based in mercenaries, so they are going to be able to, like, it's not going to be as big of a hit if they have to, like, make peace in the east and get some forces to the west. But it does look like we are getting towards a build-up. Tensions are rising. Does not mean there will be war. And but we'll see. We'll see. The Ottomans are definitely heading west. Ooh. I mean, yeah, that does look like that. Most certainly. Some nice Ottoman forces right there. Yes, yes. And I'm realizing I don't usually stream at this time of day, so my body's like, hey, you know, when you wake up, you need to do something. So I'm going to really quickly use the restroom, and then I will return really quickly. All right, I'm back. All right. So apologies for that, but yeah, I don't usually stream at this time of day, so my body's not tuned to this. But yes, we do have major military buildup. France is ready for war. They have the manpower. They have the... Well, let's actually look at the economic situation. If France needed to go to war and needed to pay for it, they've got pretty stable inflation that is going downwards. They've got a lot of money. They've got a strong economy. It's not overly reliant on... Not overly reliant, but it's not reliant on trade. So even if Britain came in and tried to cut off that, they wouldn't need to. They have just large forts in the east. So that's going to be like a wall that people have to get past that they can try and fight in. We can look at the terrain there. Some pretty defensive areas. So like if people attack France, it's going to probably be France defending. And then it could become a war of attrition, although they'd probably try to get in here. Maybe even try some naval landings or fight in through Spain. There's the big question. I think the getting in through Italy would be very difficult with the mountains and the hills. Getting in through the Low Countries, this area, would be a lot easier, but then you'd have to fight some battles of attrition. We could be looking at just be a question of where they go. It looks like France is not thinking that war is going to break out immediately. But the Ottomans, I mean, the Ottomans do have manpower. They have room to expand their military. They're not running as large of a balance, but they can take out plenty of loans if they need to. Although I don't really know if like loans are a thing that people actually go to if they need the money. And maybe they have allies to front them the cash. It could be interesting. I mean, a clash between France and the Ottomans, I think, has been brewing for a really long time. You do have a tension between these two forces of Ottoman incursions into Europe that just get deeper and deeper. Like the Papal States, if you're just jumping in, they are an Ottoman puppet. The Pope speaks for Constantinople, or speaks. When the Pope speaks, Constantinople is heard. Loans are used all the time? Okay, alright. That's the thing, like, I've always been alright with them, and just going into heavy debt and then paying it off later. But I know we have a lot of people on the channel who are always like, oh my god, don't take out loans, are you crazy? So Ethiopia, not having the best time. But Kilwa, is Kilwa a person? Whoa, yes, not just a person, a legit player. Actually, I mean, that's a different player, but is that Cologne? Oh, okay, so let's look at we have neglected Africa. So let's go look. So obviously you have the Cape with, it really does look like there is like good relations between Great Britain and Netherlands, because wherever you find one, you find the other. They seem to be trading in the same places, forwarding trade to the English Channel. They've got some common interests there. We then look at the mighty Sultanate Kingdom of Kilwa. Huge in their domination. And I think they have room to grow. If they want to grow west, I mean. If they want to go east, they can colonize the sea. If they want to go west, they've got Rwanda and Bonyoro. But then you have Cologne. Cologne, nothing says this can't go wrong, like Europeans showing up in the Congo. So you have Cologne with some holdings in Central Africa, and the Congo hanging out as well. And that is these are all players. Wow, there's so many players. Oh, that's the Netherlands. All right, so yeah, this war's still continuing. Ooh, where are those Dutch dragons? It seems like... Oh, there they are. Alright, so now they're just putting down some rebels. The war continues in India. Let's see. Well, if loans are going to be the difference between losing or winning a war, take them out. Yep. And I definitely get nervous taking loans, says T-Force. I mean, yeah, that's the one thing. I do get a little nervous. Ooh, it looks like France is moving. Has the war begun? The war! Oh! Alright, it is. Is it a world war? It's looking like it's shaping up to be. It looks like the gank of France may have begun. Does France have any allies in this war? Looks like Florence will be fighting. So it does seem like... And Tunis. Okay, so yeah, the allies that just... They have to fight. They have to try and survive. They have to try to expand. Netherlands is sitting this one out, it looks like. Trier is sitting this one out. They're both actually... Are they allied? Yeah, they're allied and guaranteed. Alright. But yeah, this is the war. This is the war. This is almost... I think it's the Third World War if it becomes a global conflict. I think France doesn't have maybe enough colonies to consider it a world war, but it certainly is a major conflict. And it was, alright, the Ottoman reconquest of Sharkia. Alright, so you have Ottomans and Florence. They're going after Florence. Alright, but I think we can all agree that this war is most likely aimed at France. And the goal is probably to humiliate France. But via taking on Florence. Florence is sort of that, not weak spot, but if the Ottomans can, the French can sit back and win a war of attrition, but they can't afford to lose their position in Italy. So this is going to be a major conflict. Alright, the Ottomans pushing all their forces in, Prussia's in it. This is a major war. It also depends if you're going to be very aggressively expanding, because you'll probably be relying on mercs instead of manpower. Be interesting to see if Britain joins the war. They could swing it. If Great Britain is funneling money to France? Question mark. They were tight for a long time. Ooh, that's going to be an interesting question. Yeah, no movements by the British to indicate any sort of direct involvement in the conflict. However, we could be looking at... Whoa! When did Great Britain... Alright, so Great Britain has reformed the Holy Land. But yeah, so it seems like Great Britain is the shadow dealer, the shadow broker of this playthrough, able to cut really great deals. I guess I don't want to use that phrasing. Work with others to find good positions and come out making sure everyone comes out ahead. It's always good to be the sort of a kingmaker of sorts. They would sway the war one way or maybe one way or the other. We'll see. But I think they're probably wanting to not have a direct, because if you don't fight someone, they can't be angry at you. That's how that totally works. Alright, so yeah, Venice is defended. France is mobilizing even more, pouring more troops in. I'm not quite sure if we've had any battles yet. We did have a battle between the 94,000 Prussians against 71,000 French. It resulted in a loss to the French. Loss by the French. And a win for the Prussians. Alright, so that's Fiera. So I think the French are thinking, where do we go? Where do we try and block? So far, Florence has a military, technically. And, I mean, Florence is really taking the offensive against the Papal States, making sure they're not going to play a role. And if they can grab control of the coastline, that could prevent the... I mean, it doesn't look like the Ottomans want to come in that way. Alright, France are launching an offensive, potentially. We'll see where they go. Alright, and the question is, though, it's all quiet on the Western Front. Or Northern Front, in this case, as Trier is waiting. Cologne waiting as well. So we have these other powers that could potentially shift a longer-term war. The question is this going to just be a really short skirmish war? Or no, it looks like they're... Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is the battle. They're going for Fiera. This seems to be the linchpin of the whole operation. France with an early lead, but they're outnumbered, and the other side is pouring in everything. All right, we need to see the numbers here. How many people are dying? Let me know. Let me see. Oh, all right. Here we go. Jeez. All right. Okay. Like several thousand, 3,000 every day, and that lulls a little bit. The French have more reserves that they can send into this war, so this is just going to be a draining war on both sides. A draining battle on both sides. And I think maybe that's what the French want. I think they're they're trying to get into an engagement, fight the enemy, see if they can take him on. Because this is the Eastern forces, Eastern Alliance has double the troops, and France is still holding on. They're able to get more troops in. Some of the Eastern forces are falling back. It looks like this is going to be a French victory. And it is a French victory. The French they're pursuing. The French are going to try and stack wipe. This is a major victory for French interests in the country. They've grabbed them at Verona. They're just dispersing. Prussia's getting out of there. Everyone's trying to get out of Dodge. And France is marching on. All right, a major victory for France early in the war so far. The question is, will it carry into the political realm? War is politics by other means, but politics is war by other means. So they'll still have to win at the negotiating table in the long run. They can't siege down all of the Ottoman Empire. But that is a major victory. A truly strong position. Now, France now dominates the Italian question. And it looks like maybe the Papal States could take a beating in this war. This could be a war that strengthens Florence and ensures that France is the nation to beat. Now, of course, if you're France, you don't want to seem too aggressive. Probably, you don't want to alienate potential allies or behind the shadows allies. You don't want to turn Germany against you. And so I'm sure they're going to frame it as a defensive war. It is a defensive war, as far as I've seen, I believe. I mean, Ottoman reconquest. So it's the Ottomans started it. And that just might be enough cover for the French to say, hey, you know what? I wanted to take on Spain. I want to be aggressive, but I'm not a harsh ruler. So work with me. We don't need all the bloodshed, but we'll see. And so yeah, there's a fort there. Control of this fort gives major control, or keeps major control of just northern Italy. You can't get around it without it. Now we do have some... Oh, it looks like, alright, France is now moving in to just lock out the Papal States. If they can kick... I mean, I don't think they'd kick the Ottomans out completely. But if they can make Italy fully into the sphere of influence for France, that will start tipping the balance. Then you might start having the Commonwealth and Ottomans saying, hey, you know, we're allies, but maybe it'll be easier for us to kill each other than to try and kill the French. But I'm sure they'll be working together for a long time as bulwarks against the West. France is scary. Yes, they are, yes. And you make this game a lot more fun, thank you. Well, thank you. This is the first time... I think the first time we did any sort of commentary was our Japan King of the Hill, but then I didn't realize that like I couldn't host it, so I had to be like half the game I couldn't really see what was going on because I was an overthrown shogun. But it's been very interesting. Let's go through. So the war here looks like there's a new, or no, they're part of this larger conflict. So this is a global conflict that has erupted between France. It is more of a great war of French containment, so much then as I wouldn't call it a world war. Like, North America is not involved. No one in South America is involved. Only on the outskirts of Africa is their involvement. But it is certainly a great war to contain France. And Germany has got out of it pretty good so far. They don't... if you've ever read any European history, it's like every war in this time period is just people going and killing a bunch of Germans and people flooding into Germany and sacking stuff. So it's got to feel good to just look at Italia. Look at Italy and be like, good, fires to the south, better than here. Looks like not the Ottoman. Ooh, okay, we do have a fight between the fighting for control of the Mediterranean, control of the Adriatic. It seems like the French forces have gained control there. And so, yeah, France completely locking down Italy for now. But it does look like a new Ottoman offensive could be in the works. I'm sure they're going to try again. And the question is, can France... Can they? There are rebellions in Spain. And of course, there's always going to be that looming question, or Spain probably looking at the horizon. They might have some foreign money. They've got to have foreign money. All right, so somebody may be paying Spain to keep them afloat. And then the question is just that truce. How long... Oh, that's Kilwa. I was like, what's going on? How long until that truce expires with France? Oh, ouch. 11 more years. All right. Then I don't think anyone is going to want to take that crazy stability penalty. And so that's the big question on everyone's mind. Can